Hey, this goes out to all the pimps and hoes, fags, freaks, queers, and any other sexual deviants that I may have missed your term.
I've been reading in Revelations, and if you want to get up to speed, the last movie I did, I'll leave the link here, was in Revelation 7. And so today I read all the way up to 17. And when I say I read, I don't just read, I study it. I look at several of the original Greek Bibles and compare them. And I like this Berean Greek Bible because it'll read letter and it'll cut it off and show you how it was read off the wall. And it's easier to see when they're reading a poem or the words to a song because they'll put them in place in this Bible. But this in 17, it was titled as The Woman on the Beast. And what does that mean, the woman on the beast? And so it's talking about a prostitute. You know, the punishment of the prostitute is the crime at his porns. The porn is. And you know, the entire book of Revelations, it's all about sexual deviance. The word apocalypse is used in the Old Testament when it says, don't uncover your sister's nakedness, or your mama's nakedness, or your daddy's other wife, or your father's daughter. You know, don't be uncovering the nakedness of your family is what all that's about. And they say it was written by John, right here. You know, and at Johnny's. But it's not just a John. And you know, John is a word that a prostitute uses for the man that's on top of her, John. But you can see where that comes from. Yo, Y-O, yo, and A-N-N. So the second one reads as a Y. Annie is. Yo, Annie is. And that's what a prostitute. She goes out there and hollers, yo, Annie is. I'll take any of you. And the reason this is because she's poor, P-O-R. That's the base word for all the pornography, porn. You know, a pornography is the writings of a prostitute, they say, but it's the writings of the poor. This is the base of pornin or fornin or a fornicate, where the prostitute sits. And the pornos, and you see it best here with the N followed by the E. It reads as a B, and so this is a pour, and the B is N, the pour in, and the IA reads as a U, the pouring who's. You know, all you sexual deviants. You know, the sexual immorality of her is the pouring who's of this, and the pour in who's anage, that's connected. A big old orgy. And the reason this all ends up in the church is because that's where the poor used to go to get their bread. And the priests would have them pray for their bread. And this word for praying for the Almighty God or the false gods, any of them, it's all the same word. And it's face down, ass up. So was in. If you click on that number, it'll bring you to the base word, they say, to worship or bow down, to prostrate. And they'll tell you it come from the word pros, meaning against, which it never means against. They say it means towards. And akuno, dogs, meaning to kiss like a dog. That's where they're trying to force this on. But you come on down to the bottom here, and they'll tell you, you know, it's been described as kissing the ground. That's more of taking the position, the proskyno. And it's where prostitute come from. And this sign is them red lips in Egypt, the red lip sign. And when you're trying to press something, when you're trying to push something, you know, you pros, you put the big set of red lips and everybody sees that. You know, the willingness to make all necessary physical gestures of obeisance. Face down, ass up. So make sure you watch that other movie there. And I'll tell you about from the gallows. And you'll see this all through Revelations. This is what it's about. This is where it all started. But the gales are the winds that Enki created to sing to his love, Inanna. So the woman was the Porin, and they give the beast's name here. And the reason they don't interpret it is because it's an ancient magic spell. And it's a magic spell used to get somebody to do something that they probably wouldn't normally do, like commit sexual immorality. And God made this beast on the 6th day. And most every kid has used this magic spell. And this is a dare you. And to a dare you to of. I dare you to go over there and stick your finger in that cat's ass. The dare you of. And it's actually, the dare, the I-O reads as an E. And it's the dare who to. And it's in the Greek and the Hebrew Bible on the 6th day. It was evening and was morning and come the day, and come her a pimped on the 5th. And come her a pimped. And God said, let bring forth the earth life living according to its type, 4-footed and reptiles and the wild beasts. And a dare. And the Y-A reads as a E, some people read it as a dare ya. But it's just the dare it is, E-T-E-S. And dare it is, I dare you. And if you look at the Septuagint, you see it doesn't quite read the same. Everything in the parentheses wasn't in the Septuagint. It was added from that other Bible. And it'll take half words and cut them off and a couple words behind. It'll remove the last 3 letters of the herp. And it says a little different. It's a little bit different story. But in the Hebrew, the dare and the name of the day is reversed. The dare was the witchit whatser. And that is to shit. C-H-I-T. To shit whatser all my be waken. All my be waken. The shitter. A shit whatser all my be. And the I-E reads as A. Awaken. So on the 6th day, that's when he went and poked them all in the shitter. And so the name of the spell was here. And the way in for Inforgum. And this is Isis. A double letter becomes an I, so you wouldn't put an I after a double letter. When you see the I after a double letter, you reverse the last 2 letters. And it's a S-I-S in Isis, the sister, the 6th, Virgo. And so the symbol of Isis is this throne. And you see the name, the throne it of, a ovum, a egg, and a T, et, E-T. That's where your Edda comes from, the feminine, the throne it. You see the loaf of bread or a kitty, and a egg is always a symbol for the feminine half, the throne it of. And if you look at the origin of the word dare, from Middle English, der, and Old English, Germanic, all's got the D-U-R in it. Coming from this old word, dare, to hold, support, strong, robust, to be bold. Yeah, you gotta be pretty bold to go over there and stick your finger in that cat's ass. In all the ancient languages, this is a magic spell, the dare, the dharma, the darum. And they say it comes from all the way down here from the ancient Greek, from the throne to sit, to rest upon, the Darrow, the Daron as, the Daron as, the long seat, the Dare. Word often connected with the throne as, and to the beast, to the Dare, they shall give up. Ditto, as in, I'll have what she's having. Ditto, the same for me. Ditto, as in, to the Dare, the ditto is in. So this is how you got the power on a Dare. And the power is a dynamin. And that's the dynamin, the dyna is the ass end of the lion. The ass is where the power comes from. And outage, and the outage from when, and no much, and the N followed by E is the no much in, the choosing, have the one of the choosing, what in done 'em in, the bottom in, the dynam in, and it sows when oughtn't, should not, to dare, the same as in. To go along with the beast is to medit of a dare who. Medit of when met, to with the dare. With to of dare you. And if you want the throne, it's to a dare who vict of, to get out of. And the throne on toe, the throne on carries a dare who. The throne on toe dare who, the throne of the beast. The one who carries the throne is Isis. So if you want somebody to go somewhere there and do something, there who is the dare who. I dare you to go over there and stick your finger up that cat's ass. And that's what this dare is about in Revelation 17, and you see it down here. Over here, have been made drunk those that are dwelling. And they're dwelling at the cat house. The house, the base word for house is Ojko. Ojko. Like a menage, the Oj is connected company. The Ojko, the house, and the cat house they went to the cat house. They got drunk and went to the cat house, and then they went to doing this magic spell of the dare. But every word in the Bible has been mistranslated because they just don't want you to know. What's a prostitute do? She don't sit upon the waters of many. No, she catch men is iffy a date on poly. The second L is a Y, poly, many. The many on met. I'm with you? No, I met you. I'll meet you here. The met is the poor in who's on. And on Aj connected. And so the dare was, that's not really a lady, that's a dude. And that's, in your Vaseline. That's where your word Vaseline comes from. The vassal, this jizz. If you seen that movie yesterday from Megalas, the galas, it's a word for the bed jizz, which means the anus penis. It's the kingship over the kings of the earth. Is the Vaseline, if it on, the vassal on, the vassal. If you in the kingship, you're one of his vassals. You get to stay here. I'll give you this place, and you take care of this farm. But when it comes time for war, or you just perform this service for me, a vassal on, what that means, to perform a service for the king. And the Vaseline, if it on, the vassal on this jizz, this penis. And I'll hit this quick for you, but you watch that other movie. It's got my best retention rate lately. It's a good movie. And I'll put a link at the end here. The gala were the priests that Inky created to sing for the goddess Inanna. And they were all known to be queer, homosexuals. And in fact, the word gala was written using the sign sequence. The first sign having also reading jizz, the penis, and the second one a bed, the anus, the jizz bed, the penis, anus. And you see that word in the abominations, this is the bed, the anus, and it's where the word in deluge maton comes from. A deluge, coming from delude, the ludo, to play, to mock, pretend, and maton, that which is from fashioned, maton, that which is from, and ton, to fashion, in the butt, in deluge, from that which is fashion. You thought you was getting pussy, but you was getting ass of abominations.
And I know this all sounds crazy, and I wouldn't believe it myself, but I saw it with my own eyes. I'll tell you a little story. A guy I went to school with, I remember in the first grade, the first day and a half of school, he cried the whole time. And then after that, he just got mean. He became the meanest kid. And he wasn't the brightest, he was like the dumbest kid in school. And I hadn't seen him in a long time, and in my mid-20s or so, I remember seeing him down on the river, all the river rats would go get drunk. Half of them ain't half but 3 teeth, and none of them had shoes. A bunch of rednecks on the river. And there was this old girl, and everybody knew it wasn't a girl. She was older. She hung out with the older girls, and she was just skinny and ugly. But we all knew it wasn't really a girl. This is back in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, we had he-she's down here south Mississippi on the river. And I thought everybody knew it wasn't really a girl. Everybody but Mitchell. He didn't know. And I probably shouldn't say his name. He's dead now. But he told me the story one day. He said, that was the best woman I ever had. He said, every day I got home from work, Mitchell, he wasn't the brightest, but he was a hard worker. He did roofing, and he come home sore. And he said, every day she had my hot supper ready for me and a blow job. She was just the best woman ever. And then about 6 months, he had been living with her for over 6 months. And he said, I decided I want some pussy. And so she was in the bed, and I eased up to it. And she was fighting me away. And I pulled them panties off, and I reached around and grabbed it. And her dick was bigger than mine. It might not be a funny story, but if you knew Mitchell, it would be pretty damn funny. But yeah, it's possible to live with a woman for 6 months and not even know you're with a man. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.